First, I just want to say I'm so glad everyone's here with these wildfires. They've been so devastating. Have any of you been affected or know anyone that's been affected, and how are they doing?
I think anybody who lives in LA truly knows somebody that's affected. That's how devastating it was. Yeah, my uncle, his house burned down. My Uncle Chad, who's, I often say, my favorite Lowe. He's the most evolved Lowe in the family. But they're handling it really well. Him and his daughters and his wife Kim, and it's been, I think, as heavy as it's been, it's also been really inspiring to see how hard the community has rallied for people, and I've seen it, acutely with my uncle, how many people have stepped up to help him out, and I guess that's the silver lining, but it's been madness for sure.
Right, there's a benefit concert tonight, so it's been so nice to see everyone in LA really come together, like you said, but it has been a chaotic few weeks.
Yeah.
All right, Grace Point, guys, so good. I love this film. It was really an emotional roller coaster. I felt like I was going up, I was going down. John, you've been sober 6.5 years. You've been so vocal about your sobriety. What was it like playing a teen seeking treatment for addiction? I could imagine the connection you have to Brandon, but you've made that switch. You found sobriety. What was it like going back and playing someone who is yet to make the leap?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think anytime you're playing a character who's dealing with addiction or anything of that nature, for me, it's something I take very seriously, and it's a really sensitive topic. It's it's very private for a lot of people too, so there's an internal struggle of like how much of this, how much of myself to put into this, how much of myself to broadcast, and also there's a pressure to get it right because it's so important. And I think that's why I loved this script and this project, because I thought it did get it right, and this, highlighting the sort of father-son struggles and the pressure from a parent who wants more from you, and a son who I think understands that subconsciously but wrestles with that concept. Not that I have experienced any of this in my own personal life. We all know that can't possibly be true. That was sarcasm. I think because it was handled delicately and taken seriously in this, it made it much easier for me to play that character. And then, yeah, I've definitely put a lot of myself in there. I went to rehab in the South even when I was young, so there was a lot of parallels.
In North Carolina.
It's true, yeah, but you can't say anything more specific than that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and in one of the scenes, I don't want to give anything away, but Johnny came in and rewrote a little scene. He said because this was a scene that verbatim you had with your dad.
Yeah.
So you brought a lot of authenticity to the role, even going through withdrawals. You wanted to make sure you got it right, which I really appreciated. And one of the first, maybe the first time we met in person, we went to go have lunch at Apple Pan. And I had done a documentary that Johnny was involved in about the Montecito mudslides. Yeah. And Johnny said he was running late. He was coming from a meeting. And I thought he meant like a meeting with an agent or manager. But he showed up and he had a chip from his AA meeting. And you were so proud. So I don't know if it was a 2-year, but it was,
2 years.
Yeah. And man, that was just like, almost like floored me in a way, because I thought I knew this person. I realized there's so much depth to him. And I think he brought such a authenticity to the character in what is a fun story ultimately, but has a lot of depth.
Right, it's a fun story, but you're sharing that heart, and it is very scary to open up like that. Your dad also, it's a unique situation because you're both in Hollywood. You got sober young, your dad got sober young. Has he guided you throughout this process? Has that made your bond stronger and easier to connect as you're navigating being a young star in Hollywood?
Yeah, I mean, particularly with the sobriety, he helped me so much. My whole family did, my mom as well and my brother. And I definitely would not be here sitting in the chair, haven't accomplished anything that I've accomplished, maybe even alive without them. And so that part, I think, is reflected in the story. I can totally relate to that. Show business-wise, I think he'd like to take more credit than is true, but he gives me a lot of advice. He gives me more advice than I'd like to hear in that regard.
Some credit to Rob Lowe, some credit. Jim, what drew you to the script?
Johnny and I met because his dad and I were acting on a show that he was writing on. and just hit it off. Realized we had a lot of friends in common. We had a lot in common. And it was like 4 years ago this month. You were like, so have you seen this movie, I Hate Christian Laettner? And I was like, yeah. And he said, the guy who directed that's a buddy of mine, and he's going to do his first narrative feature. Do you want to come on and play a part and help produce it? I said, yeah, sure. I think I said, yeah, before I even read it. I said, yeah, let's go play.
And Rory, you dubbed this a coming-of-age thriller, which I love because I really feel like it's a genre-bending film. Talk to me about how you decided to approach the struggles of addiction while also keeping it light. We got MMA fighters. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. That alone entices like every guy I know to see the film.
So I was just putting my friends in the film and thought maybe it would help when the movie comes out to attract some fans. I mean, I like genres, and one of my favorite movies is The Sixth Sense. And what I liked about it was horror, but also there was a lot of heartfelt emotion. There was a coming-of-age story about the child in it and the relationship with Bruce Willis's character, the therapist. And in a way, I think there's a parallel between Johnny's character, Brandon, and Jim's character, Cutter. So thriller's one of my favorite genres, so is coming-of-age. And above all else, I just think a movie should be entertaining. So that was my number one goal. And, you know, luckily, we just had great actors. And Johnny was able to recruit Jim, and then Jim recruited Sean Carrigan, and it kind of went down the road that way. So I was very fortunate.
Mm-hmm. Can you share a fun behind-the-scenes moment from filming with the MMA fighters? What was it like when the cameras went down? You're all hanging out in the trailer.
Well, Johnny challenged Aljamain Sterling.
Oh,
Yeah, he was getting a little full of himself at one point because, you know, in the movie he's doing these action scenes and he thought he could take Aljamain, and that's when you wet yourself, right?
I'll tell you one thing. That's believable. That might have actually happened. I have kicked Aljamain's ass in chess, but not in anything else.
Johnny did his own stunts. So with a low-budget indie, his stunts being running. I remember you asked, like, will there be a stunt double? Are there some orthotics for my feet?
Yeah.
And I said, no. He's like, well, these shoes are quite uncomfortable.
I came from the mean streets of Montecito, so
I was putting it into perspective. You were the one running in all of that. You're sweating.
I'm in all the frames.
Tumbled
you see
down
me
the
in.
sand.
That-
There's nothing he wasn't willing to do. There's a scene where Jim and Johnny cross this lake, and we had a screening for it, and somebody asked, Did you film that in a studio? And I said, no, we filmed that in the lake.
Do you remember? Wait, what did they tell us about the lake before we got in? They were
There
like,
were leeches.
not,
Oh,
but there was
gosh.
a snake
Oh,
too.
there were water moccasins.
They were like, you don't really have to worry about anything except you definitely have to worry about the water
Right.
moccasins. And you and I were like,
And
wait,
worrying about them changes nothing.
nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
there's the line in the film, I think, is improvised, where you say, are there snakes in here?
Yeah.
And, that wasn't
Yeah.
in the script originally. So I think it really helped that these guys had a friendship ahead of time
for
already.
sure.
So it made things feel more natural. Another crazy thing that happened, I don't know if I'm sure you remember this, is someone pulled a gun on us while we were
Oh my
filming.
gosh.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we were
Right.
filming, and we were in fields and woods in this town, Laurinburg, North Carolina. And we have permission, obviously, to be everywhere. But this guy pulled up in a truck with his shotgun, and it was more like shoot first, ask questions later.
This is
Had
true.
his gun drawn, and the person that stepped up was literally our local snake wrangler. We had to have a snake wrangler who was
His name
Nick
was Snake.
Snake. And Johnny thought maybe we were doing like an improv scene. And then Johnny said, you told you called your dad and told him what happened. And I think he said that'll make a great story when you're doing
For
interviews.
press or
yeah,
something?
yeah.
That's
so
just the only way my dad's brain works.
yeah,
So
for
it's
press.
really
Meanwhile,
Heart is
cock the
beating.
gun.
Oh my gosh, she's like, press later. This is it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love this.
Yeah.
But no, this is terrifying. Wow.
It
Yeah.
wasn't how are you feeling? It was like, that's going to crush.
That's gonna crush. One sentiment I love, not to give anything away, but it was really the message of don't judge me by my worst mistake.
Oh, cool.
Which I think was so powerful, especially when it comes to sobriety. John, how did something like that resonate with your journey, and also in general, just knowing it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to try again? How did you resonate to Brandon in that moment?
Yeah, I love that you honed in on that. I mean, I think that's a mantra that's important to recovery, but also just important to, life for anyone. And, gratitude, things like gratitude, and I think what goes hand in hand with that, forgiveness and forgiving oneself and allowing others to forgive them too. definitely a theme in my life, and pretty much anyone that I know who I love and respect who's been through anything can relate to that. And I think it's so well articulated by that. Like, don't judge me by my worst mistake. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it occurs around the discussion of Brandon's mom.
Right,
And they're
yeah.
driving.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw someone reached out, or like there was a review or something.
Yeah, so this has never happened to me before in my career. We sent out screeners for the film, like you received, and somebody reached out to me privately after viewing a screener, a reviewer, and she just said, "Rory, I just want to let you know I don't really share this with many people, but my brother died in a drunk driving accident where he was the driver, and that line just destroyed me, and just wanted to thank you because I've been angry at him for a long time, and it's making me emotional even, remembering that, because you hope when you make a movie, it just resonates with anybody, somebody, and you never know. So, if the movie can entertain people and touch them emotionally at the same time, I mean, that's all you can ask for.
That message touched me, and I didn't even have an involvement like that, and now you're being told someone who's actually suffered something just like the theme of the movie, and in that moment, that's really all you can ask for when you're making a film like this.
Yeah.
What is one message, if anything, that you really want the audience to walk away feeling and thinking after this film? There's so many great elements, but if you could pick one specifically, what are we going with?
I mean, it starts with, and this is the recovery journey too. He starts as a selfish and scared kid, and he goes through these terrible challenges and overcomes them and becomes a courageous, sacrificing man, right? And that's, for anybody out there that's standing on the far side of recovery, like that's the promise that it makes, is we know you're scared, we know you may not know it, but we know you're selfish, and if you just keep moving in this direction, you will get through, and on the other side, you'll be somebody people can count on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think whether you're struggling with addiction or not, almost everyone has dealt with some sort of trauma in their life or their childhood. And I just think one of the messages of the movie is you have to kind of move towards that if you're ever going to get past it. And when you try to avoid it or get around, it's still going to come out in other ways, whether it's with drinking or addiction or maybe anger issues or problems in your relationships. So if you've been through something, face it head on. I think there's a line that Jim's character says that sometimes it's best to face the pain head on, and you got to feel it. And I feel that in my own personal life. That's what I feel is a major theme of the movie, that Johnny's character he's got to go through it to get out the other side. And sometimes that means running in uncomfortable shoes if it's necessary.
Facing the snakes when they're
That's
brought
right.
upon
The
you.
water
The
moccasins.
water
Very
moccasins.
heroic.
Yeah, and Rory, you've done a lot of unscripted work. What is it like jumping into scripted? Is there a difference? Do you like storytelling one way or another?
Well, with unscripted, I've done a lot of sports, and I think as the director, you're kind of like the coach, and you're managing the whole team of people, and your goal is to set a tone. I think is really important, whether it's documentary or scripted. But I try to set a loose tone, humor, and try not to take myself too seriously, but I take the work seriously. Another thing, too, is I try to hire good people, bring on good people for my cast and crew, and then empower them. I'm not a micromanager. I mean, these guys know what they're doing, and what I think they elevated the script and made what were words on a page feel real. And again, it's just actors are like players. You might have like the grizzled veteran who's seen and done it all, or
The
you got the
descriptions.
new kid, the rookie.
Yeah. Jim,
Yeah,
Love
the rookie. But I didn't know this with dealing with actors have their own style and technique, and somebody just wants to be. Some people want to be told exactly what to do. Like, tell me where to go and tell me what you want. Others want to let it play out in the scene. Some have to. There's one scene where Johnny has a gun to his head, a prop gun, but he's getting in the right mindset. And I think just he was overhearing me joking, and he said, "Dude, can you just not do this right now? I just got." And he was 100% right, and I gave him his space. He needed to be alone, and so it's just dealing with people. At the end of the day, this is a relationship dealing with people business, and it takes a village to make a movie, especially an indie movie, because time's not on your side, and you've got to make your days. There's no like, oh, we'll get that scene tomorrow. We don't have the time or money to do it. So luckily, shooting this film is one of the best experiences of my entire life, not just in my career, but my life, and especially getting to work with these two. It's been like a dream come
Rory
true.
did an excellent job. He was great. And
Yep.
I think that's not an easy transition to make from unscripted to scripted, let alone covering subject material that's as intense as this and then making it entertaining. And I think you executed that great. And I also think, more importantly to me, selfishly, and probably Jim too, it was such a fun time.
The best.
Like,
Yeah.
really felt like
Yeah.
summer camp in the woods.
Yeah. You decided you were going to get a trailer where we filmed, right? Isn't that like your little getaway place
That's right.
now?
You can't tell me
You're
that.
home away
Yeah.
from.
You had the dream team here, but set the scene. Who would you love to work with? In the next movie, genre, who are we thinking? I know you worked with your dad, but who would you love to star in next?
I should say anybody besides my
I know, I'm sure that's where this is going.
You know, I can't think of anybody specific, but there's so many that I've been fortunate to become friends with. I really look forward to a chapter in my career in which I can play with friends on screen. I got to do that with Jim here, and I could name, 5 to 10 right now that are wonderful people and wonderful artists that I would just, my mind goes to the friends rather than who people I idolize.
Right.
Probably because I don't want to embarrass myself.
Said it's always fun when it's a friendship on set.
Yeah.
What about you, Jim? Is there someone you would love to collaborate with?
If we could get Jack Nicholson to come out of retirement.
Okay.
I mean,
and
I don't think
Rory
anybody's.
Spearhead?
Yeah,
Rory can direct.
Yeah, I'll take
Which
care of
means
that. Don't
Jack,
worry about
which
it.
means Jack will direct, and I just don't think there's anybody who's had as much fun on camera as him, and it seems like it would be infectious and freeing, and seems like it'd be a lot of fun.
Now we need that.
Yeah.
Jack?
Come on out.
I'll call him. We'll call him.
I
Yeah,
know.
call him.
This is your call. And for those who have not seen Grace Point yet, don't know what they're doing, describe why they should see this film in one sentence.
One sentence.
A boy becomes a man.
Yeah. This boy becomes a man.
That boy becomes a man.
This boy
Against-
became a
wait,
man.
Against all odds.
Yeah.
This boy becomes a man.
Against massive odds.
That's right, yeah.
Otherworldly odds. Rory, you go. Yeah.
Well, I think whoever gives the best review from the audience, I believe the Lowe family will be giving out
Oh.
free money.
Wow.
Was from what I
Incentive.
heard. Yeah, so
Incentive.
That's what I was. Somebody mentioned that to me. I think it was your brother.
I learned early
Yeah.
on in the Lowe family there's no such thing as free money.
Right, got you. Yeah, that is true. I would just say it's an emotional thrill ride. Take an escape with us, and emotional thrill ride.
Amazing.
Yeah, I would say I hurt my feet so badly without
Yeah.
orthopedics.
Johnny without his shirt on. I mean,
Yeah.
it's on the
Without my
poster.
shirt on,
The
yeah.
character really needs to remove his shirt. He's very hot right now. I'm like, all right, if you need to
Take
do
it off.
do it.
Give them what they want.
That's exactly right.
What a
Thank
poster.
you.
I know, I love it. No, guys, congratulations. I love this film. Have so much fun tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.